Paul Nathaniel Cruz, well known for his current doings in the modern day, being a model for Vogue and Gucci and Louis Vuitton, but also being a guest on iCarly's show. Now, let's look into the life of Paul Cruz. Now, you see, Paul Cruz was actually born in Hawaii during 1939, the start of World War II. He was born into a very prestigious family, a white collared working family. He never really had any struggle growing up. That is, if you ignore his skill in Taekwondo. Now, Paul Cruz was also well known for his ability to master any martial arts that he saw with his eyes or in the TV. Paul Cruz, at the master of many martial arts at a young age, fought to become the top of his peers. Because of this, many targeted him, but many also feared him. Some of his students would include Saitama, Superman, and Larry the Lobster. But not everyone was happy of power that he had. Many had tried to take him, including Wonder Woman, Batman, Shaggy himself, Iron Man, and Captain America. Though, even with their efforts, that some of them even teamed up, the audacity, they could not handle Paul Cruz with his mastery of martial arts. As years would go on, he would grow, becoming the sole master of martial arts, even creating Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan to be stars and, well, as many of us know today, the current stars of martial arts. But lest we forget that Paul Cruz was the master of it all. Paul Cruz was one of the most wealthiest martial arts practitioners at the time. He often went out to speak in public events and the such. He is also well known to be a conqueror of many animals, domestic and the like. But after the war ended on 1945, many of his students, particularly Larry the Lobster, went off on their own to show off their mastery, of which Paul Cruz has given them. Now this leaves Paul Cruz very alone without the students, but Paul Cruz has learned to adapt, improvise, and overcome these problems. These may vary in many different ways, with working out or fighting other company. Paul Cruz is also well known to be a very good athlete with the capabilities of a martial arts master. He has learned how to play basketball, football, tennis, golf, swimming, and poker, and chess. Like many have speculated, his ability to copy any martial arts does not only limit to martial arts. It seems like he can copy anything he can see. And because of this, many coveted the power. Many years after the Cold War, Shaggy re-emerged, stronger than ever. The world was in peril. And who could save us? Paul Cruz, the master of everything. After Shaggy took over the USSR and placing a puppet called Putin, many have speculated that Paul Cruz went off to face Shaggy, which was arguably debatable, a stronger being than Paul Cruz at the time. So they met on his home turf. in the lands of Moscow. Just like in The Matrix, how Neo met with the Man in Black, Paul Cruz met with Shaggy. Shaggy put up his fist first, but then Paul openly awaited his fight. The fight went on for a bit until Paul unlocked his inner power. He defeated Shaggy, but still, with the compassion in his heart, he left him alive. Something that he may regret in the future. With communism back into the state of Russia, of how the world is restored back to peace. But after that debacle, Persian kings from the Middle East aimed to conquer Europe. And so Paul went to Europe. After arriving in Greece, the midpoint between Asia and Europe, he met with the Athenians. He was amused but not impressed. He met with the other people of Greece and they were interesting, but they weren't the men he was looking for. But then he found the Spartans. He had heard of them before, nearly the same caliber of his, but with more honor. He met the great king Giab and his special advisor, Jarl. They went off to fight the Persian kings. They were able to fend off for a while until one of King Giab's men betrayed him and they were surrounded. The only way they could save all of Europe was if Paul went back to Europe and round up the rest of the forces, which was already happening. And so Paul saw King Giab and Jarl for maybe the last time. But with their noble sacrifice, Paul was able to round up all of Europe's men and destroy the Persian kingdoms. With Europe's power safely under his control, Paul was living a relatively peaceful life, being the sole master of martial arts and the savior of Europe. But now, another threat emerges, one near his home, Asia. I wonder what awaits him there.